Brandon Sanderson has done it again. The man can't be stopped. We blink and there's suddenly a new Cosmere novel announcement with a release date, a cover reveal, a new crowdfunding campaign, and a whole new line of Hoid story picture books.
And people started to ask me, Brandon, well, 2026, where's the Cosmere novel? We've got one.
The man is an absolute madman. I think we can all agree on that. Major respect to Brandon Sanderson just for how transparent he is to his audience, constantly giving updates. Today, I'm reviving Cosmere News, which I believe I started with the original Secret Projects. So now, today, I want to talk about Secret Project number 6, which was just announced, The Fires of December. I'm actually really excited for this one. This is going to be like a spoiler-free video. Later in the video, I will cover some spoilers. I'll tell you when I'm going to talk about spoilers. It's going to be right at the end. Because if you don't know, Sanderson did read 2 chapters of The Fires of December at Dragonsteel Nexus, and there's a lot of interesting things going on, but most of this video is going to be spoiler-free. Now, if you're wondering what just happened, at Dragonsteel Nexus 2025, Brandon Sanderson got on stage and casually announced a new Cosmere novel, Secret Project number 6, called The Fires of December. Now, this is all tied to his new Hoid storybook collection crowdfunding campaign, which is on BackerKit, which is centered around Hoid telling stories, both in the form of 4 picture books and this brand new full-length novel. Now, if you know how big the last crowdfunding campaign, when Brandon Sanderson announced his original secret projects with Tress of the Emerald Sea, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, The Sunlit Man, and the non-Cosmere one, the Frugal Wizard's Guide, or whatever it was called. That Kickstarter broke records, so this one isn't small either. This is a pretty big deal. Now, what is all included in the Hoid storybook collection? This includes 4 fully illustrated picture books, all based on the in-world stories that Hoid has told. We have The Dog and the Dragon, which Hoid tells to Kaladin in the Stormlight Archive. This is one of my favorite stories, and I can't wait to have a picture book of this. Then there is The Girl Who Looked Up, another great Stormlight Archive kind of folktale. And then there's Wandersail, which again is just an iconic story that Hoid tells from the Stormlight Archive. Another one I'm really excited to see. And the 4th one is The Chasm Friends Get a Pet. And this is a new picture book adventure based on what we saw at Dragonsteel Nexus 2024 with the story decks cards. This one sounds really interesting as well. So all of these are kind of based around the Stormlight Archive. Each one has different artists attached, like Howard Leon, Steve Argyle, Alexis and Justin Hernandez, and Anna Early. So it's a pretty stacked illustration lineup. If you're a fan of our little weird world-hopping storyteller, then this is a no-brainer. I'm definitely gonna pick these up, and I'm excited to read them to my future kids as well. Like, the fact that they're picture books, these are going to be so beautiful. Let me know what you think of these. Now, moving on to the big news, a brand new Cosmere novel, The Fires of December. This is yet again another standalone novel, just like with all the other secret projects, and it's narrated by Hoid himself, just like with Tress of the Emerald Sea and Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. And Sanderson actually said that this one is kind of a spiritual successor to Tress of the Emerald Sea, and I loved Tress of the Emerald Sea. It was one of my favorite secret projects, and such like a whimsical, fun book. From the 2 chapters he read of The Fires of December, it does seem a little darker. The main protagonist feels a little more vicious than Tress. I'm really excited to see where this goes. And just the premise alone for this book sounds so interesting. In the next Cosmere standalone novel, Hoid has an epic tale to share. In a forgotten land sustained by colorful rivers of demon blood, a young woman named December learns a devastating plague is on its way. But who will believe her? Against impossible odds, she sets sail up the River Violet to warn the king's court. Determination and wisdom beyond her years burning in her eyes. Along the way, she'll navigate incredulous royal officials, twisted court intrigue, and a roguish count with only her wits and her new friends. a talkative priestess, and a fledgling fashion designer. First of all, let me just say, the cover, visually, this looks so beautiful. What a gorgeous cover. This is a non-finalized cover art, but I assume it's probably gonna look pretty similar. I'm gonna put the cover artist's name on the screen because I don't want to attempt to pronounce it and absolutely butcher the name, but I'm gonna put it on the screen. Absolutely fantastic job designing this cover because it has this like whimsical elements, but then also like dark fairy tale. We got this river of demon blood with these animals forming out of it, and the eyes in the background, the left eye has this kind of star in it. I'm in love with this cover. It's gonna look so good next to the other secret projects. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments. And thankfully, it's a brilliant time to be a Brandon Sanderson fan, as always, because you don't have to wait long for a new release. This book is going to be in our hands in the Christmas season of 2026. So about a year from now, you can have this beautiful edition in your hands. Now, the crowdfunding campaign begins in March of 2026. So let me know if you plan on backing this one. Let me know if you backed the other secret projects. I have to back this. I am so excited for this book. Now, I didn't actually make it to Dragonsteel this year. I really wish I could have. One of these years, I'm gonna go to Dragonsteel. I do have to say, my first thought about reading the title of this book is, why is there December in a Cosmere novel? There shouldn't be the word December. Earth doesn't exist in the Cosmere. But Sanderson, or Hoid actually, right at the beginning of the story, Hoid basically explains that she was born during the coldest month of the year, during the last month equivalent. So he is translating it for us to something we're familiar with. So December isn't her literal in-world phonetic name. It's something different. And I don't know, this is fine, I guess. I just feel like I would have liked to know what her actual name is. I would like to know the name of the last month on this planet, because then if you overthink things a little bit, how does Hoid know the translation in English? Or is Hoid translating it to something else, then somebody else is translating it for us? I don't know. And if that's the case, why aren't all months and days translated from Cosmere names to English names that we're familiar with? Why is it just here? Listen, maybe I'm overthinking this too much, but it was like my immediate thought when I saw the title of this book, that it just seemed a little off to me. Regardless, I'm sure I can move past it, and I could enjoy this book without overthinking that detail. It just kind of threw me off a little bit, but I'll get over it. I will say what it does for us, the reader. It gives us that winter child end of cycle symbolism baked right into the character name, and I'm sure that plays into the themes of the novel. Now, another interesting detail that Sanderson just briefly mentioned is that he's kind of considering this part of a new loose series called Hoid's Travails. He says, these are the stories of Hoid's Travails in which terrible things happen to Hoid, and he tells you about them. Which, of course, this all includes the previous secret projects that Hoid was narrating, so we're kind of getting a brand new series with the connective tissue being Hoid, and I love that. I love that kind of framing device, and I'm really excited to see Sanderson kind of branch out and write more stories like this, because honestly, I feel like sometimes Sanderson is at his best in his standalone books, so I'm excited that he wants to explore this more. And as someone who loved Tress and Yumi, the kind of cozy but deep tone to those books, and how they quietly expand the Cosmere while also bringing in new entry points for the Cosmere. I know a lot of people started with Tress or Yumi, and now we have the promise that there could be more stories like this, more stories narrated by Hoid. This is really good news for Sanderson fans, but you might have to buy a new bookshelf. Like, I'm starting to run out of space for Sanderson on my shelf. Honestly, I feel pretty hyped for this. I'm glad that Sanderson is kind of exploring those strange, self-contained worlds and expanding the Cosmere more through these standalone novels, but also building up the kind of bigger meta story that's happening in the background. I feel like this just makes the Cosmere feel more epic. From what we saw in those first 2 chapters, it is off to a very strong start. This is like, Sanderson manages to hook you right at the beginning. I do hope if we're going to continue to get all these secret projects, I hope it doesn't eat all the oxygen out of the main series that Sanderson is writing, like Stormlight and Mistborn. Hopefully another Elantris or Warbreaker novel at some point. But honestly, Sanderson's output is just a force of nature, so I'm not really that worried. We have a lot of books to read. There's still some books I need to get caught up with. To be honest, I haven't even finished Isles of the Emberdark yet because I had other books I was reading, and Sanderson keeps releasing new stuff. So at this point, I can't even keep up, but regardless, I'm very excited to get to this one. And if his side projects keep being this good, I mean, we don't have anything to complain about. So I'm very excited to see that he wants to dive more into these Hoid's Travails. Now, as a brief aside, I also just want to mention the Next Step coin, which Sanderson announced at Dragonsteel this year.
I do have a lot of people come through my lines that'll tell me that the Stormlight Archive has helped them. Once in a while, I will hear about someone who's struggling with mental health challenges that their family will come through and tell me, well, the person is no longer with us. And that always really strikes me. And it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if there was something I could do. So I want to introduce to you the Next Step coin. So on the other side is the QR code, and this QR code will take you to some resources. We've partnered with some people who are offering free mental health care to those in need who can't afford it themselves.
If you didn't see this, Sanderson is giving away these coins for free to people that are struggling with mental health and depression and truly need the help. He will send you a coin for free with a handwritten letter that you can sign and pledge an oath as a Knight's Radiant. This man is a gem. I don't understand how somebody can hate on Sanderson. Like, this is the most genuine, wholesome gesture that he can do with his money. Like, he's using his money to help people that are truly struggling. And this just really warmed my heart when I saw it, to be honest. Dear Radiant, in the book Oathbringer, Wit tells Shallan that though she must bear the pain of what has happened to her, she doesn't deserve it. While I don't know what has brought you here, I want you to know the same. You are welcome here with us. I challenge you to recognize that the experience you have gained through your struggles with mental health is also a strength. The stronger person is not the one who has never struggled. It is the person who has developed, step by step, the power to keep walking. With this letter, I challenge you to make a series of oaths. First, a promise to yourself and those who love you that you'll fight through the dark times. Second, that you'll be a resource to others by helping them with their challenges. Third, that you will keep this coin with you as a symbol of your commitment to never let the darkness win. You have been through some dark times, while others are likely before you. Though you may not have chosen this path, you do choose the next step upon it. My signature is below. I encourage you to add yours. Journey before destination, Radiant. I just think this is a beautiful thing that Sanderson is doing. I personally am not someone who needs this coin, but that line in Oathbringer is something that has always stuck with me. It's something I think about when I am going through hard times. I always think about that line. So I can see this being extremely important to people. And I encourage you, if you do need this coin, to pick it up, or you can even buy this coin. Sanderson knows that, like, you know, people are going to want this coin just because they want it. So he did put it up for sale on his website as well, and the funds from people buying those coins are going to go back into producing the free coins. So if you do just want a coin for the sake of it, there's options for that, and you can even, you know, buy an extra one and pass it along to somebody who really needs it. And please, guys, don't ask for a free coin if you don't actually need it. Don't abuse the system. This is something that is so good and so wholesome, so don't abuse the kind gesture that Sanderson is trying to make here. Okay, that is all I want to cover in the spoiler-free part of this video. let me know in the comments if you plan on backing this, if you're excited for this new secret project. Let me know in the comments. Now, I am going to cover very briefly just some of my thoughts on the first 2 chapters that Sanderson read to us. Overall, I thought this was such a great start to the story. I can feel already that December is a protagonist that I'm going to grow attached to very quickly. She seems like such a great protagonist to follow, and I can't wait to see where this story goes. This also kind of feels like the darkest Hoid narrated Cosmere story that we've had so far. I mean, there's a demon draining its blood into a river on this planet, and there's like a deadly plague that's going on. I'm kind of getting like FromSoft vibes. This feels like something you'd see in Dark Souls, or maybe Sanderson's been playing some Hades lately or something, but this seems like such a cool idea, and I'm excited to see just more expansion of this world and what these darker elements entail, like the demons. Like, I want to know what's going on here. I just really want to see more of this river. What is up with this river? I also just want to know, like, what planet this is on. This isn't Yolin. I'm assuming this is a new planet. I'm very interested to learn more about it. Now, clearly we can all agree that we hate Bark. Bark is the absolute worst. There's a lot of people that seem to think that Brandon Sanderson is introducing time traveling into the Cosmere. I don't think this is time travel, guys. Sanderson has mentioned that he doesn't want to introduce time traveling into the Cosmere. He said that years ago. So I don't think this is time traveling. I think we're looking at something going on in the spiritual realm. I'll get into that a little bit more. In a way, it's kind of like a regression story, which is something that's very popular in Korean storytelling. And I feel like this is kind of inspired from that, but like mixed with, you know, the Cosmere. So we have some like fortune stuff happening here. I gotta say, I'm already like sold on just the prose and how Hoid is telling this story. I love how he introduces himself. He's described as this strange man, and he says very little to December. And he says that's the only time he's talked to her in her lifetime. Now, the fact that they find a silver vein within this story, that is very important. Silver is a very important metal in the Cosmere. Slight spoilers for Mistborn, I guess, but there is a metal called Electrum on Scadrial, and this is a blend of silver and gold, I believe, and when this metal is burned, it gives them the ability to see possible futures, and I feel like maybe there's a connection there with what's going on with December. However, I guess that doesn't really connect because she's seeing something from the past with that silver vein. So it probably has something to do with fortune. Like, on her birthday, she got this mega blast of fortune, which gave her the visions of a lifetime. She got to experience a full lifetime. I don't know, guys. I want to hear your theories in the comments about what's going on here. Clearly, she is heavily invested, and I'm not sure why. It is kind of hinted that her mother is a world hopper. She comes from off-world, and possibly she's immune to this disease. I wonder if she even brought the disease with her, because that is something that world hoppers can bring to other planets, which is pretty terrifying. The fact that she's like a young protagonist, but she's kind of lived this entire life. She has the wisdom of like an older lady. I just feel like this is going to be so interesting following this character. And I gotta say, these first 2 chapters, they hooked me faster than many other Sanderson novels. So I'm just really excited for this one, guys. Let me know what you thought of these first 2 chapters. Tell me all your theories in the comments. Maybe space down or put spoilers at the beginning so that people don't get spoiled. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more Cosmere news. And if you're new to the channel, I make a lot of deep dives on fantasy books. I make lore videos, summary videos. I've made some very in-depth summaries for the Stormlight Archive with all the Cosmere Easter eggs. So make sure to check out those if you haven't. In 2026, I'm going to be making summaries for Mistborn and continuing on with more Cosmere in-depth summaries. And that's it for this video. I'll see you guys soon.